Hi, and welcome to this video of Dynamics 365 Talk, where I'll be discussing the 2020 Release Wave 1 features, which came out for preview on February 3rd, 2020. Now, since there's a lot of features, I'll probably be recording some additional videos to cover all of this. And in this particular video, I'm going to be discussing the new functionality and the updated features for Dynamics 365 Sales. But before we get started, let me introduce myself. My name is Deanne Taylor. You can take a look at my blog at D365Goddess.com or just follow me on Twitter at D365Goddess. And if you want to scan this particular code that you see over here, you can do that as well and connect with me on LinkedIn. So let's get started. What I'm going to be covering today is obviously, like I said earlier, the sales improvements. And those are forecasting improvements, the team member enforcement, including the team member app, enhanced experience adding products to opportunities, the easier selection of email templates, the activities updates. I'm going to show you the centralized location to manage settings now in the Sales Hub. We're going to discuss the opportunity Kanban view, and I'm going to do a demo and show you some of that functionality as well. So let's start with forecasting. Now, users can configure columns to be roll-up fields or calculated fields. So, for example, we could set a column to a calculated field that would total the values of all opportunities with a value of 1 and a value of committed in the forecast category field. So again, we can now configure that, so we have a lot more options. We can also configure the columns to be adjustable if that's required. This will allow users to update values under these columns manually. And when a user updates that column manually, the history of these updates will be tracked. Users can view the history by clicking on the Edit button next to the dollar amount in a column. And I'll show you that later in my demo as well. So currently, users have the ability to create forecasts based on territory or on reporting hierarchy. The product-based forecast is not available just yet, but my guess is that that's going to be added on very soon. Now, when we're creating these forecasts, we can add and update quotas for those forecasts by populating an Excel template, which we can download from an individual forecast. Once we have that data populated, then we can just upload that back into that forecast. We also now have advanced filtering, where forecast builders have the ability to add these filters to the forecast using the new query builder. So I'll show you that as well. And lastly, we now have the ability to configure access on each individual forecast. And we can do this by assigning security roles to those forecasts. Now, once the forecast has been configured, users who have access can then view that forecast. They can edit any of the opportunities related to that forecast directly in line, and they can also use this Kanban view that you see on the screenshot here to move these opportunities to a different stage. So for example, if I wanted to move it to a pipeline, from a pipeline to a best case, I can just go ahead and drag and drop that opportunity to the correct forecasting stage, and we'll show you that as well. Now, this is a very important one. Microsoft is going to restrict team member license access, and if you look at the website, they're actually saying that this is for any team member licenses that are purchased on or after October 2018, that these users that have those team member licenses will be restricted to a set of designated apps. And those designated apps are the customer service team member, the sales team member, and the Project Resource Hub um, app as well. So what this means, according to me, is that when this one license enforcement is turned on, and according to Microsoft, this is April 1st, 2020, they cannot access any other app. The only apps that they can still access is the customer service team member, the sales team member hub, or whatever it's called. It's sales team member, not sales team member hub, or the project resource hub. So make sure that you test all of this access, and it actually has that security role in the database, so you can assign that to somebody and then kind of test your access. But make sure you actually do that right before that enforcement date of April 1st. And then, of course, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Sales Team Member app. This is one of the apps that will be available to users with that team member license, right? Again, this is just for users who are not tied to any particular function, but who still need some of that basic functionality within sales, right? So again, keep in mind that with the team member license, we only have use rights to a limited set of use cases, right? So keep that in mind. Make sure that you test this, right? So currently we can view customer details, we can view leads and opportunities related to a customer, and we can create and view activities for a customer or related leads or opportunities. So again, make sure you test that. Test. Then we have some simplified experiences like enhanced experience while you're adding products to your opportunities. A selection of email templates. We're going to talk about managing activities, where to manage and configure the Sales Hub. We can do that now in this unified interface. Saving PDF docs to Dynamics 365 or SharePoint. It should say saving PDF docs locally or to SharePoint, because that's really what it does, but this is what Microsoft posted, so that's what I'm gonna have on here. And then we can manage opportunities in the Kanban view. So let's take a look at each of those items. So with the enhanced experience in adding products, this is actually kind of nice, because what we can do now is there's like this little lookup button in this window that we're going to have, where we're going to be able to search for products. We can also, in the same window, just add our write-in products to it. And we have more of a detailed view, so we can also compare some of these products and even add multiple products at once as well. So that's very, very nice. And this is basically where we're going to enable that, because again, this is not something that's enabled by default. So we need to make sure to navigate to the app settings area in the Sales Hub and then set that enhanced add products experience, which you can see on the bottom there, set that to yes. That's how you can turn that on. Now, we're also going to have an easier selection of the email template. So when you open that window where you want to add an email template to your email, it now has a bigger box that kind of is going to show, which is more of like a gallery show, where you can pick your email template from that gallery, and that will then show you, if you click on it, it will show you kind of a preview as well. And you can also see some of the templates that you've used recently as well. So keep in mind that this is available for D365 Sales Enterprise and Sales Professional. And then obviously I was excited about this particular guy because the grid is new and improved. We have some new search availability over here. As you can see, if you kind of look at that screenshot, the top one, I can see a couple of filters where I have my due date, activity type, and then priority as well. So I can filter on those pretty easily. And then I also have a Kanban board or view or whatever you want to call that, where I can just go ahead and drag and drop my activities under the correct status. And now we also have a centralized location in the unified interface to manage settings from the Sales Hub. And that's now going to be directly in the app. I don't have to go to my quote unquote older interface to manage that. This one is pretty nice. I was kind of waiting for this one. So this ability allows users to create a PDF document from a Word template and then immediately save that PDF directly into SharePoint, right? If we have SharePoint libraries enabled, and we can do that with one click of a button. So that's kind of a nice feature, I think. And so you see we have two options, right? We can either share that or save that to that SharePoint library, or we can just download a local copy as well. And again, this is enabled immediately. You don't have to do anything for that. Now, unfortunately, this was not working for me. As you can see here, this allows you to view your opportunities in that Kanban view, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, I'm not sure. This was not working for me. It was also not working for me on activities, but what I did is I added that option, that control on the activities entity. So I try to do the same thing for opportunities, but unfortunately it is still not working. So according to the documentation, you're going to be able to obviously change between different views. So you can have an existing grid view and then you can change to that Kanban view. And what we can also do is, again, we can drag and drop opportunities to a different sales stage, right? As you can see on that screenshot, they're trying to go from qualify to develop. So I'm guessing that if you have in your business process flow, if you have any of those stage gating rules enabled, I'm guessing it's going to hold it to that, but I can't really test it because, again, it's not working currently in my environment. So let's go ahead and take a look at that environment and let's go do some demos. So the first thing I wanted to do is go to forecasts, create a forecast. So I'm going here to my app settings and I'm going to my forecast configurations. So as you can see, we only have the org chart forecast and the territory forecast. The product based is not there yet. So I'm just going to do an org chart forecast, which I've already done here, but I guess we can do another one just to show you how to configure that. So David, so 2021, and I'm going to, you can see here that it already says what the roll-up entity is going to be. It's going to be the opportunity, and it's going to be, I'm going to set the person at the top of the hierarchy, which is David. Then here you can pick whether this is monthly or quarterly. I'm going to pick quarterly, and you can see here that it automatically sets my valid from and valid to dates. You also see that direct reports that I have. I have 3 people that are reporting up to David, so you can see that here in my preview. Let's go ahead and click next here. Now this is asking me the field on which we should apply security. So you can say no field, or manager, the manager field. I'm just going to leave it to user, and then I'm going to say all securities. Everybody can access the forecast, but you can also specify one particular role as well. Then I'm going to go ahead and click next. And this is where we add an option set to that. So the system has this forecast category, but obviously you can use your own option set for this as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose that particular one. And then it's asking me, do you want to automatically populate these columns with standard configurations or manually do that? I'm going to auto configure that, and then I'm going to show you what that looks like. See, I can kind of drag this to the side as well. So if I'm saying I want lost here at the end, you can see that you can do that very easily by dragging that over. And then I can take a look at these. So I can configure these. Hey, best case is going to be a roll-up field, or maybe that's going to be a calculated field where it is the total of pipeline and and omit it, right? So again, this is how you can set your own calculated fields, and then you can even change the name of that as well if you wanted to do that over here. If you don't, again, it's telling you what type of field, right? We want to do the estimated revenue field as a roll-up field on those opportunities, but again, you can choose something else as well. And then here it's showing, do I want to allow people to manually update that best case total field? That's what that allow adjustments is. And then do I want to show the progress compared to the quota? That's that other, now you can see that it says here, it gives me a percentage on that. So that's how you can configure that for each individual option in that multiple or in that option set. Let me just click on next here. Now, first, what we need to do now is we need to publish that forecast. And there we go. And as you can see, now we have the ability to download a quota template. So I'm going to download that real quick. And here it is. And as you can see, here are all of the people in my forecast. Now, I'm going to say each one of them for each of those quarters, right? We see here quarter one. I'm going to say he needs $250,000. And let me just set that for everybody, because David So has an individual quota of $250,000, but then because he's the manager, his total quota is going to be 1 million. So I'm going to save that and I'm going to close that. And now I'm going to upload that quota back in here. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And it's processing, as you can see. And we can see now that it was uploaded successfully. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish that. And now let's take a look at some of those quotas. I'm going to go back to sales and I'm going to scroll down and click on forecasts. Now, the other two that I set up are also available to everybody. So here's the one that we just created. This is a David So 2021, right? So you can see here that everything rolls back up to his 1 million quota over here. And this is his quota as a salesperson, which is a $250,000 that we have over here. Here we can see Teresa testing. Now, if I wanted to see the opportunities related to Teresa testing, I just click on her name. And we can see here that there is only one. So let me actually go back to a quota that I've set up previously, my own forecast, because I have a little bit more data over here. So you can see here, I set this up the same way, but you can see here, since David reports to me, I also have his direct reports rolling up in here as well, which is interesting. Now let's take a look at, let's take a look at my opportunities. And as you can see, I have the ability to update the data in here, right? As long as it's not closed yet, right? So the one is, for example, closed. This one is still in progress, so I can just go ahead and update that. I can change the potential customer, I can change the topic, the name, or I can show this as a Kanban view. And then I can say, hey, you know what? I'm going to update this. This is actually the field service opportunity for demo is no longer in the pipeline. That's actually a committed forecast status now. So this is how you can do that. You can just drag and drop that under the correct sales stage or forecast stage. Now we also earlier saw that we enabled some of these fields so that we can adjust those totals, right? So let's take a look. I believe it was the committed one. Let's take a look at Jamie's. Let's say we want to adjust the opportunities. We have here a $0 amount. So I'm going to say, you know what? It's not zero. It's actually 25,000. I could put a note in here. This needs to be added to see around, whatever that reason might be. And then I can just go ahead and click adjust. And as you can see, now that amount has been updated, right? That adjustment has been made. You can see here also that this is updated as well. Now, if I, at any particular point in time, want to see the history for that particular column, right, for Jamie, I can click here on history, and then I can see what the adjustment was, the note with that adjustment, and who actually made that adjustment. And then again, if I need to reset that, right, I can put in a note again, I can hit reset, and that will again set it back to what it was prior to my change. And again, if I go to my history, I'm going to be able to see that history of those adjustments. Let's take a look now at the new Sales Team Member app. So you can see this is very basic, right? We have activities that we can obviously filter. We can filter on due dates. And then we have accounts, contacts, leads, and opportunities. So again, this goes in effect on April 1st, 2020. So make sure that you're testing all of this as well. So let's go back to my Sales Hub here, and let's show you guys some of the simplified experiences that we have here. So the first one is adding an opportunity product. So I am just going to open this opportunity, and I'm going to navigate to my product line items, where I will be adding a new opportunity. Now, this is actually something you had to turn on. So you can see here, unfortunately, this didn't really go really well in my sandbox. I'd actually added a add products button. As you can see, if I click this is still my old button. So this is not the way it should be. But I'm going to click here, add products, and that should bring up that new experience that we were just talking about. So I can search for products from here, and this is kind of nice because normally we're used to doing like star and then monitor, for example, right? But as you can see, it's saying, okay, that's not right. So I can just start typing things directly in here, and then as you can see, it will start filtering that out. I also have the ability to review some information on here, right? You can see that the description is on here. We have a unit group, default unit, and the full price list here, some valid from and to fields, and the actual product ID as well that we can hover over, so we can kind of compare some of that, right? Some of these monitors directly here in line. Then we can add them directly from within here. We can do multiple, as you can see, from here as well. Or I can take a look at my recently used items, and I can add some of them as well. And then here you can see the 4 that I have selected if I click on that. And then if I want to do a write-in product, I can do that as well. Just add a name, price per unit, and then a quantity. And all you have to do is click add to opportunity, and that adds that to your opportunity. Now, the other, let me just cancel this. Okay. The other item that we have here is something, that is called, I'm going to click on email. This is the selection of email templates, which has been updated. So if I click here on insert template, and I just want to set a field name and then the record, which is this particular one, I'm going to click on select. And this is new, right? So this is kind of like a gallery. As you can see, I can pick from my recently used. I can search for a template, right? I can again start typing in. It will filter that. Or I can just click on one and kind of get a little bit of a preview directly here in my window. And then I can just hit apply template, and boom, it applies it to my email. And now I want to talk about the updated activity view. Now, this wasn't working for me immediately, the Kanban view. So let me show you first what I'm talking about. This is that view. I click on that, and that puts it in that, hopefully it's working now. And here it is in that Kanban view. And now I can just, for example, say this one is open. Let me just find one that is, here we go, test app. I can update, right, who it's regarding to. I can set the priority from here. Say this is high priority. I can set a due date from here as well, right? And then I can put in a, let me just make this 12 p.m. I can just go ahead and type over that if I wanted to. Let's actually make that p.m., right? And if I want to complete that, I can just go ahead and drag that, drag that under here, this completed area. And now it's showing me this, hey, is this completed or canceled? And is that phone call made or received? And then I can just go ahead and close that directly from here. So that is a very nice feature. Now, like I said earlier, this wasn't working for me, so I had to enable this. I couldn't pull up this Kanban view or whatever it's called. So what I ended up doing is I went to my activity entity and I went to controls, and then I just clicked on add control, and I found it over here, and then I clicked on ads. Now I obviously already did that, and then I saved that, and obviously I just published that. And then I was able to change or pick that particular view from here. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is the screenshot that you saw on my PowerPoint was actually from the Microsoft website, and it also had a priority field here that I could filter on. As you can see, that did not happen over here. I don't know if they got rid of that or not, but I do have the activity type, so I can very quickly, right, kind of uncheck what I'm not looking for, and that will filter my activities then. And it doesn't matter if it's this particular view or if it is, right, my calendar control or my read-only grid. I can very quickly filter. The other thing that I really liked is when you create a new activity, you can see that that screen that now pops up sits on top of that activity window that we were in, right? So we're not navigating away anymore. We can just go ahead and fill out our, right, our information over here, save and close it, and we can even go ahead, we can even use this flow button here as well. But it's kind of nice, I figured, that it kind of, let me do a phone call as well, that it pops up above or on top of where we're working, so we're not navigating away anymore. Okay, next up is the centralized location. If I click on here and we go to the app settings area, you will see now that we have this general settings area where if you can click on overview, you can see all of these things that we have underneath that overview. So lead and opportunity management, productivity tools, everything can be managed now from within here, right? I can click here on manage, and that will take me to that particular, right? Auto create records for newly lead, on or off, right? If I have this off, then it's going to ask me. I can also get to that, right, as you can see here, just that particular item by just clicking here on the left hand side. And let's also take a look, and this is the last thing I'm going to show you guys. Let's go back here to my opportunity where I should have a product line item, I believe. All right, here we go. And then I'm going to, as you can see here, I'm going to hit create PDF, which is based on my Word template. And as you can see, it's asking your opportunity document is now ready. Do you want to save it in SharePoint or download a copy? So I can download a local copy or I can save it to SharePoint. So let's do that. And here we see that our RSM quote was saved to SharePoint. And now let's take a look. And as you can see, here is my quote PDF that was just added to SharePoint. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like and make sure you come back next week for some additional videos on the 2020 Release Wave 1. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.